Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Dementia Friendly Business Training for Retail Organizations. This training is provided by Age Guide Northeastern Illinois. The objectives for today's training are to review dementia by going through some key definitions as well as signs and symptoms of dementia, discuss challenges that are uniquely for retail entities, describe responses, strategies, and practices retail businesses can use, and to explore what being a dementia friend really means. So, we are just going to start off with some context around dementia. You should have learned this already in the module for understanding the basics, so I'll just quickly review it. Remember that dementia is just a general umbrella term for disorders that are categorized by chronic impairment of the brain's mental process. It often affects things like a person's memory, thinking, decision making, and ability to do everyday activities. It's also important to note that dementia is a long-term degenerative disease. Within the dementia category are a variety of terms used to define specific types of dementia. The top four most common types of dementia in order are Alzheimer's disease, vascular dementia, dementia with Lewy bodies, and frontotemporal dementia. The last type of dementia on the list is mixed dementia. Now, this is exactly what it sounds like. It is defined as a condition in which a person has more than one type of dementia. Symptoms and signs can differ depending on the type of dementia. Again, you should have already seen this before in the previous training module. But some common signs and symptoms include communication difficulties, wandering, losing things, frustration, repetition, poor judgment, unacceptable behavior, and confusion. Despite these symptoms, a person with dementia is still a valuable contribution to their community, and they are still a person. The disease does not diminish that. Within retail stores, there are some unique challenges older adults with dementia might face. The first category is relative to their potential memory problems and cognitive abilities. Sometimes a person living with dementia can have trouble remembering what they are shopping or looking for. They can even forget to pay or, by extension, forget their PIN card number when paying. The first one being small and/or crowded aisles that are difficult to navigate. Along the same lines, hazards in the walkway that may cause tripping and falls. Feeling overwhelmed with the environment is another example, and this could include being overstimulated with things such as background noise, loud music, or crowds. The last one we have here on the slide are technology challenges. Essentially, anything with technology can often be difficult for older adults, and more so for those living with dementia. Essentially, anything with technology can be often difficult for older adults and more so those living with dementia. For instance, trouble using or fearing electronic paying systems. The challenges listed here are not by any means all-encompassing. There are a variety of other challenges that you may encounter with your retail business that directly affect people with dementia. These were just a few common examples. Now, we are going to pivot our lens just a little bit, because for every person with dementia, a range of 10 to 12 additional people are affected. Included in that 10 to 12 are most certainly the caregivers for those with dementia. Caring for a person with dementia is very challenging, and the concerns that the caregivers often deters them from taking their loved ones to certain places, such as a retail environment. Being aware of these concerns will help retail organizations better serve caregivers and their care recipients with dementia. The first one is wandering. Caregivers are rightfully worried that their care recipient with dementia will wander away from them in a retail store, thus getting lost or possibly even exiting the store completely. The second most common concern of that space is caregivers are more responsible for helping their loved ones with activities of daily living. A retail environment is not accessible for a caregiver if there's not enough space for them to do just that. For example, if a fitting room is not big enough for a caregiver to help a loved one with dementia try on clothes. Along the same lines of the space issue is the issue of accessible parking. Having specific handicap parking spaces and designated parking lots is crucial for caregivers and people with dementia. It is often a very big hassle for caregivers when they have to consider whether or not their loved one will need to walk a far distance just to get inside the store. Lastly, there is a major concern of judgment. This is not necessarily unique to just retail environments, but to other environments as well. Caregivers are often hesitant to bring their care recipient with dementia out in public because they are worried and/or embarrassed about what others might think. This could include reactions from retail staff as well as other customers. It is especially concerning when the person with dementia has a symptom of unusual or inappropriate behaviors. Now that we have talked about the challenges and concerns within retail stores, it is important that you implement strategies and practices to address them. So, we are going to start off by reviewing communication strategies that you could all use when interacting with a person with dementia. The first one is to be respectful. As I mentioned earlier on in the training, a person with dementia is still a person. They have a right to be treated with respect and dignity. A huge tip on being respectful is to avoid talking past them. This applies when a caregiver, family member, or someone else is present with the person with dementia. Talking to them and not on behalf of them to others makes them feel valued. The second strategy is to be patient. Let them take their time. It is important to exercise patience and not to pressure them to hurry up. Next, we have the strategy of offering support, which connects to being patient. If the communication with them is difficult, which is the case sometimes, just offer encouragement. Let them know that you are trying to understand and listen. Giving them that reassurance goes a long way in making them feel welcome and comfortable. The last communication strategy we have on the slide is not to argue. This is very critical when interacting with older adults with dementia. Do not fight with them, criticize them, or correct them. They become very defensive quickly. If there is something that they believe and it's incorrect, it's almost better to just go with the flow and let them believe whatever it is. In addition to all the communication strategies we just touched on, there are also some best practices that could be easily implemented. The first is to wear name tags with large fonts so that older adult customers with dementia can easily read them. Similarly, it is important to ensure that there are enough staff dispersed within the store to help assist. Providing a quiet seating place is also beneficial. This way, the person with dementia and their caregiver can eliminate the concern of loud noises, loud music, and big crowds. In regards to the environment, there are many things retail businesses can do to be more dementia-friendly. The first is to display large signs and other navigation cues that help the person with dementia know where the key areas are, such as signs for the restroom. Having large enough fitting rooms or restrooms present to accommodate people with dementia makes the environment more accessible to them. The last practice is to schedule specific times for older adults to shop, if possible. This practice has been more and more common because of the COVID-19 pandemic. For instance, a store setting aside a couple hours before opening or a couple hours after closing just for older adults. As you complete this training module, I encourage you all to view the additional resources in the PDF download on the Age Guide Learning Center or in the description below if you are watching on YouTube. These resources will aid you and your business in your efforts towards the dementia-friendly initiative. Please feel free to download, print, keep, and share the handouts. Thank you for your commitment and conscious effort in caring for people living with dementia in the communities that you serve. Upon completion, a follow-up letter, certificate, and dementia-friendly window cling can be provided to your business. Please share this training far and wide to the other colleagues and other organizations in your network.